the same thing with you, like coming to them and saying, hey, I didn't mean that. You're taking the accountability for it. And if you're not taking the accountability for your decision, then it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And that emotional decision may make you realize you need to make a second decision without emotions, which, might be therapy, anger management, might be whatever the situation might be. It varies. But you need to take the accountability, and you need to make that unemotional decision if you want to change it.
Yeah.
That's not an easy decision coming from somebody that had to make the decision to go to therapy, or somebody that's making the decision to say, I should probably go to anger management or figure out my anger issues so that we don't have problems.
All right, guys, welcome to the round table. Another episode here with Dustin. How's it going, brother?
Good. How about you?
I've had better days. Better days. Let's just say that.
It's all right. It's still morning. I still got some time.
Yeah, I made a mistake, and I take ownership of it. So, but yeah, man, I appreciate you being here, dude, and not killing me for it. So, all righty. So we got another great episode. It's another phenomenal day. We got to open our eyes today, at least. So
yes.
Yeah, man. How was the weekend? Let's catch up there first.
It hasn't been too bad so far. Haven't really done anything. Just the gym and normal stuff, and hung out with the girls last night. They did a little dance party while the wife was out having a girls' night. So
do you have a freaking like disco thing or something downstairs, or what the hell is that?
I have some random disco balls, and then my big speaker I bought has party lights on it too.
Dude, it looked like a freaking club scene there. I was like,
damn. They were having a blast dancing last night.
Dude, it looked fun.
I was having so much fun watching them, just laughing how they moved to the music and stuff. It was hilarious to watch them.
It looked fun, dude. I was like, oh, they're having fun.
They were having a blast. They did really good last night. Usually Macy has a hard time when Soph leaves, but she did really good yesterday. I was very proud of her.
That's good, dude.
Fell asleep, no problems, and somehow still ended up in my bed, but that's normal.
She loves you guys, man. She's like, I'm getting where I'm going. They thought I forgot.
Nope.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, we have a little kiddo upstairs with the sleepover, so they were up pretty late last night, just chatting and talking, and hence I put my headphones in and tried to go to bed. So I did go to bed. But yeah, man. So overall, good weekend. Hope you guys had a good, Valentine's just passed. So hope you guys were able to celebrate a little bit. And
we don't do a whole lot for Valentine's Day.
No,
I'm not a huge fan of it.
Oh,
I don't like that holiday at all.
No.
Dude,
you're the second person I've heard say that. There's a guy at work that said the same thing. So
no, I try to treat her every day like that. So
I don't. I treat my wife like shit. I'm just fucking with you. I'm just
Anybody that knows you knows that is complete wrong.
I'm just playing. No, that's cool, man. Hey, it's not, that's a good analogy, right? Or a good way to look at it. If you just treat your wife good the whole year, they're not going to really expect
exactly
maybe a set of roses or just a card or something. But you don't need to go. I think some people buy like their girls and no judgment or whatever, but they kind of go all out with the necklaces, and she gets that all year anyway. So
yeah, we gave up on that forever ago. Now it's just, we still say it, and now it's more for the girls than anything. But I got her some stuff, but
there you go.
It was a last minute decision, and I was honest about it. I was like, well, I'd been thinking about it, but I decided I'd do something last minute. So
that's awesome, man. No, at least you guys got to do something, and the girls are seeing it. So good, man. I'm glad to have you, and glad to start this episode, man. So what are we talking on today, bro?
Decisions.
Making critical and difficult decisions. And man, I've struggled with this.
I was gonna say this is one that's not in my opinion a one-time fix thing. You gotta because every situation's different, every reaction's gonna be different. You have to really look at the decision based on what you're talking about. You can't make the decision
Mm-hmm.
for everything doing the same pattern, in my opinion.
No, I agree. Every situation, like you said, or every scenario has its own like form of thinking of how you're gonna remove or move forward with that whatever. I would like to say
Yeah.
mission, but it's not really a mission. But I think about it because it's in the book that you're reading.
Yeah.
He has to make. He's a leader, so he's got to make multiple decisions as the commander or whatever. I don't remember his rank, but that's what I think of when I think of high ranking
Yeah, I can't remember.
military guy. But so yeah, it's just we could start here because I when we started talking about doing this episode, I was like, okay, it's kind of it can be maybe people might not think it's like that important, but I watched Cody Sanchez,
Yeah.
and
She's great.
she has a clip where, and this was probably a couple weeks back, she was like, oh well, I can tell how wealthy somebody is, I think is what she says, of how fast they can order how fast they walk into a restaurant and pick what they're going to eat and order it. And I'm like, what? And then she goes into explaining like, well, people that are wealthy, people that, entrepreneurs that really, actually do things, they don't sit there and think these things. They don't overanalyze everything. They know what they want, they see it, they get it, and boom. And I was like, I've never thought about it that way. And I used to be like, I'm the type of dude, I'll walk in, I just want this because I've had it before. But if it's new, I got to look at everything. Oh, do I want this? I want that. Da, da, da. And then I'll find something. Okay, I got it. This is what I want. But I've found that when you throw somebody in the mix, if my wife is with me, that decision making, I'm a like recovering people pleaser. I like to please people.
No way. Never heard that one before.
No, dude, it's bad, man. And so we've learned to work together. Where my wife, I'm like, okay. She's like, you just make the decision, right? Like we've had in the very beginning, we used to have arguments about where we're gonna go eat.
Yeah, we do that sometimes.
You do? Okay, it's not just me. I'm not on a lonely island. Okay, good. So, yeah, dude, we would argue, and I'm like, why? And we would literally like after, like, why are we arguing about where we're gonna go eat? Like that's ridiculous. Like, why am I mad at you, and why are you mad at me?
Yep.
Or like we're literally just gonna go eat, and then we're good. And so we started talking, and we're like, okay, like, what are we going to? Where are we gonna go? Let's base it on food because that's where are we gonna go eat? Okay, well, why are you mad at me? Because I didn't want to choose. Like, I just want to make you happy. I just want to do what you want to do. And she hit me with, well, I just don't want to make a decision today.
Yeah, I get that one a lot too.
It's like I make decisions all day, literally for people's lives. I'm like, what? I just want to make sure that you get, because you had a hard day. I just want to get what you want. No, you choose.
Yeah, that happened to me just the other. I mean, that happens to me every now and then, just in general, where it's like, well, this sounds good or this sounds good. What do you want? And my wife would be like, just make a decision. Sometimes I want you to just make that decision. So that's where you're like, okay, well, this is what sounds good to me. Mm-hmm. So, and at that point, you've made the decision. They figure it out from there. But normally, it works out pretty good.
Yeah, it's a tough. It's tough as a person that just wants to please them, that just wants to do. Because I think me and you are very similar. We want to take care of our wives. We want to be those providers and protectors, but we also want to make them very happy. We know that they've had kind of a tough going or whatever, whether it be that day or in life in general. So we're like, we just want to make you happy.
Yep. That's
how I've always viewed things. But happiness to them, or at least in certain like decision make or certain situations, like I just don't want to have to think.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to rely on you. And if you look at it, that's a long way to say, like, they just trust us. They have trust in the decision that we make, and they're okay with that. And so it's hard. It's definitely been a learning experience to have to be like, okay, I'll just choose.
Yeah.
And being okay with the situation. Like, if she doesn't like it, then it's okay. Like, she's not going to be like, how dare you take me to this place that I didn't really want. Well, it's okay. Like, and I don't know if you have an issue with doing stuff for yourself either.
Oh yeah, big time. I was this isn't the reason I didn't go, but I was supposed to go take my razor out today, go play at the sand dunes. And going out by myself is hard. Is the hardest decision to make for doing something for myself. You know, and I don't think of when I go out on my rucks like I should. I mean, that's something for myself anyways when I'm going for my second outdoor workout, especially if I'm going by myself. That's something I'm doing for myself, but I don't think about it that way, which is kind of weird. But like going out on the razor, or going out like, hey, I'm going to go get drinks with the buddies or whatever it is, I feel really guilty making that decision to do that. But knowing that in the back end, that decision's probably better because I'm making myself more happy, making the decision to be happy to go do something for myself, in turn should make things at home, that much better.
Right.
Because I'm happier with myself, which is something, I've struggled with a lot in my life. That's a whole nother episode we can talk about. But,
yep.
That decision making is not easy for me. There's certain decisions that are easy, left, right, where I'm going, depending on the situation. Food, I hate choosing food. If I could live without eating, there's probably times I would go for it. But, that decision is not normally the easiest decision. But decision, let's go shopping here, let's go do this. That's a fairly easy decision. The decision to get up to go to the gym that's a no-brainer decision to me. As much as I don't like going on Sunday mornings, I still get up and I go, and I start thinking about all the other decisions I need to make throughout the day.
Would you say that it's easier to make a decision that's only going to affect yourself, even though decisions can impact others, but when it's only involving you? Because what's the difference between making a decision for you versus like eating out, or going to the mall? Like, we're going to go do this today.
For me, if it's just me, I only have one person to worry about. I know exactly what food I want, eat, like, all that, but I don't know what my wife is feeling, or I don't know what my kids want to eat. So that decision is a lot harder, but they have a good point when they're like, just choose. I don't want to think. Maybe they have had that hard day and they just don't want to think. They don't want to process. They just want you to take ownership, take leadership, and just make a decision. We know what they like.
Yeah.
We've been together with them long enough. We know what they like or what their favorites are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot easier to say, okay, y'all, I know what is on that menu. How about let's go there tonight? I know she loves this meal. She loves this food. Like our favorite little Mexican restaurant we go to, La Casa del Tamal. Mm-hmm. I know if I in a pinch, she loves the food there. Let's go there. Something she can get there. She knows, she wants. So those decisions can be easy if you use the right tactics.
Mm-hmm. So is there something that you have used like recently I know you said recent, because we've had the same discussions about food, like choose where do you want to go. So like, is there something that you've looked at differently, or like for me, it was just being able to understand that there's no repercussion from me making the decision, whether it's right or wrong. That's just, like I said, just related to making a decision on where to go eat. So it wasn't ever like, the way I started looking at it now is like, okay, I'm just making a decision to take the load off of her, so that she doesn't have to make a decision that, even if it's good or bad, it doesn't really matter. That's how I've started viewing. That's the strategy that I've used to kind of be like, okay, well, I'm not going to worry about if it's the right decision or if it's the wrong decision. I'm just making it and we're going to do it, and then everybody's going to be okay. 100% of the time, it's okay. Like nothing happens. We just move on with our day, even if the food was garbage or whatever, it wasn't up to expectations. Is there something that you've done recently that has helped you kind of, because it's like you're almost in paralysis when you're not making the decision. You're just like frozen. You're broken. Eventually make a choice, but as the leaders of our family, we need to be the ones to do it first. So is there something that you've done recently?
So I'm gonna go to the emotional decisions, because those are a big factor in my life currently. Okay. Because those decisions that I make emotionally can affect my outcome. You know, they're like, for instance, yesterday we were at the gym and I was doing her workout program,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't do. So I don't know the sets, I don't know the reps. And for the most part, I feel like I was doing everything that she was doing. And there was like switchback lunges was the one. And I was like, well, I'm going to do those over in the yard when we're doing that. Because in between the benches, I mean, you've been to the OS I go to. In between the benches, it's tight.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'm gonna do them over there. And I don't know what I missed, and I haven't asked, and I probably should. But she's like, you know what? It bothers me that say you're gonna do my workout with me, but you're not.
Mm-hmm.
It pissed me off. And I'm like, I've done everything and I told you, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, my decision is this. Let's just focus on paying more attention to what she's doing and making sure I'm replicating it
Mm-hmm.
versus being mad and ruining the whole rest of the day with her. Like there's no point for that. So for me, it those are a lot of the decisions I have to make personally, is the emotional ones. Like, how is this? Is this the right time to stand my ground and be mad about something so insignificant? Or do I need to say, okay, come back, look at the situation, let's move on to the next. Let's not ruin the day over an argument about a set that I may have not done or something that I missed because I wasn't paying attention.
Right.
I thought I'd done it all. Maybe there's one or two I missed, a rep or two, and I'd been throwing some random things in with it. So I wonder if she had just didn't see me do one of her sets or something. But I'm like, I'll just focus on what you're doing. There's no reason to add more right now. Let's just focus on what you're doing, and let's just move on. And it worked. I mean, she wasn't mad anymore. I started focusing on what she was doing and paid more attention and made the right decision instead of being mad.
Mm-hmm.
No reason for that.
So you're saying, like, being able to make the decision to control
My
the
anger.
emotion that you were feeling at the time, or the reaction that you would have probably normally gave or wanted to give.
Yeah, or I could have given. I could have just been pissed off and walked away and said, fine, I'll go do my own shit, know. But I had made that choice to work out with her because we hadn't done a lot. She's been out, with recovery for the last 6 weeks. So we haven't had a whole lot of time to go to the gym together. So I'm like, I want to get back into that routine.
Right.
I know I have the option in my plan to add a customized workout. So I'm like, well, I'll just add a customized workout in. And yeah, it's full body. And I've done some of it here or there yesterday, but I'd rather have a little bit more sore muscle and have my time with you at the gym than be in two separate sides of the gym. And I mean, granted, I'll still look at you. I'd rather work out with you and talk to you and enjoy the time with you versus not.
Right. No, that's it's always it's people be like, what are they talking about? Spending time with your wife and family, like that's, or in the gym, like, well, why would it? That shit's fun.
Oh yeah.
I have been able to experience that more often with Tay now, every single morning, awesome. And something about looking over and your wife's just getting at it. You're like, fuck yeah, dude, like that's my girl right there. You know what I mean? Like, so I get it, and but no, that's good, dude. Like that's a good one. It's a good awareness that you were able to, like, okay, I'm fucking pissed. I'm livid. I want to, say what I want to say, but then you made the decision to be like, okay, why ruin the day over this, or the workout, whatever it might be, right? That's good, dude.
Those are honestly the decisions that I feel like I struggle with the most too. Mm-hmm. Like making a decision, like if we're talking about going back to food, we're talking about going to find a place to eat. Like when she starts getting frustrated, it's just like, make a choice. That's an easy choice at that point. Yeah. I know what I want. I know what you like. You don't want to make the decision. Let's just go. I know you're going to enjoy it. Let's just go get the food. Mm-hmm. You can give me a little bit of hints here or there. I don't want this. I don't want that. Simple. I know the choice to go get. But the emotional side, where it's like, I'm so mad because this just happened, but do I let that ruin my day? Like, and Andy Frisella said it really good, and I wish I could even remember the episode, but he talks about a car crash. It's like most people They get in a car crash and let it ruin their entire day. That's 10, 15 minutes of your day. It's done. It's over with. Move on. And since listening to that, I have done that a lot better. I still have a shitload of work to do on the anger side, but I'm working on it. That's a huge, we're going to relate this back to accountability. That's a big accountability factor for myself.
Right.
And that decision that I need to work on that.
Well, it also takes a lot of balls to be like, okay, I'm working on this stuff. And also awareness to know that it's not like there's not ever going to be like we've talked about this. There's not like an end goal. There's not like a part where you hit it and you're like, I'm doing so good. Like I'm aware, I'm good. Like I got enough accountability. Like it's a constant grind. Like it's never going to go away. Decision making, unless you're just sitting in your home not doing anything, which is still a decision. Like you're going to come up with daily certain things that are going to affect others, and you need to be okay with the outcome. And you talk about a car crash, and I think I told you about this. Like, so we got in a car wreck. They hit our car. They did a hit and run. Well, the moral of the story is this. You know, Andy, I don't think I've heard this story that he said, but this is exactly what happened to us. We had planned this big day on a Saturday. It was Taylor and I, and the kiddo. And we're going to go to, where is it? It's like out towards like Payson area. I forget what it's called, but there's this like rich neighborhood up there. That's where we ended up meeting the owner of Vasa and stuff like that.
Oh, the Parade of Homes.
No, it's a different. It's a whole,
Okay.
but it's very similar.
Yeah,
very
okay.
similar. So same concept, just a smaller kind of certain neighborhood only. And so we'd found it. We're like, oh, we should just go do that. It's gonna be fun, like just something to do on a Saturday instead of just staying at home. So
Next time, invite us.
yeah, I'll tell you guys. And it was, so we'd planned it out. We'd kind of seen the homes like online. We're like, okay, this would be fun. Like these are massive houses. And so we call it dream building. We're gonna go dream build a little bit, like see what type of houses we want in the future, layout stuff, to get plans for our homes. And so, you know, we stopped, I think, to get like drinks, like just before. We had the car filled up with snacks. Like we're gonna be out there pretty late. It'll be fun. It's a long drive. It's like, 45, 50-minute drive. Freaking, we get 5 minutes from leaving our house, we get rear-ended by some jackass that, kids that just run off, So I chase them. I'm chasing them. They lose us. Obviously, they're in an Audi. They're going super fast, way faster than I am. So, all right, whatever. So we come back, call the cops. The cops take like 45 minutes. Obviously, it's not a high priority. I get it. We're fine. Everybody's fine. We're just need to do a report. We had an hour, no cops. Well, just cancel the call. Like, call them and ask them if we can go. If we need to sit here, can we do it tomorrow? Can we? How does this process work? So, yeah, they said that they're busy with another call, but yeah, if we want to just do it in person, that's fine. And I was like, okay, well. The moral of the story is, with an accident, the kiddo's in shock, the wife's pissed that the car's wrecked, or not, it wasn't ruined, but it got pretty jacked up from the back. It would have been easy to turn around, go home and be like, well, this sucks.
Day's ruined.
Yeah, seriously, this day is fucked up. Like, there's, what are we going to do now? Well, now we got to spend money for the car. Now we, somebody, she's big on like fairness. So the fact that somebody hit us and wasn't held accountable pissed her off.
Yep.
And so we're sitting in the parking lot, and I'm like, well, let's go. She's like, okay, let's go then. So when I say go, like go to the homes, like go to not the parade, but the place that we were originally headed to go. So we were 2 hours behind schedule. Granted, like we talked about last episode, Taylor's very punctual.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be here at this time. We're going to go have lunch at this time. We're going to have dinner, all this stuff. Well, it was like 2 hours past, like I think, by the time we were ready to go. We're like, well, I'm not going home, so let's go. And she's like, all right, I'm with you. By far the best. We had the best time, dude.
Yeah.
Like, we met some cool people. We met people that not just that were living in their homes, but people that were up there. We had good conversations. We almost got like outside of ourselves and just went out and just had fun, and we saw ideas. And oh man, it's still one of like the best times from earlier, from last year that we could say like, oh, this was this was awesome. Like, and so, yeah, the moral stories is you have to make a decision, like you said, to hold your emotions and say, I choose to make this and not let it, go the other way.
Sometimes the emotional decisions work out great. Like the emotional decision for us to book a family, it depends, but the emotional decision for my wife to say, I'm going to book a trip to California for us. Okay, let's go. Like, I'm down. I don't care. Let's go. Great. Honestly, the best vacation we've had. The kids still talk about it. Still, I brought it up the other day, and they went freaking batshit crazy because they want to go back.
Yeah.
And they've been bugging us to go on a family trip, and this year we're going to do our best. It might not be the big one they want, but we're going to do something.
Nice.
Or, the emotional decision of, well, should we go on a cruise? Yeah, do it. Why not? What's stopping us? Granted, same thing. Costs us a lot of money and everything, but we can't go back and make those memories back up. But those were emotional decisions that turned out really good. Now, emotional decisions that turn out very bad, those are another situation.
Yeah, there's definitely a left or one option and another option. Yes, they both are on different sides of the spectrum for sure. So what about because like you said, there's different types of decisions we can do. Whether it be as simple as making a decision to
brush your teeth,
or go to the gym early in the morning or whatever. What about something that is fearful to you? Because there's a lot of decisions that have fear, at least for me, that I know that have fear behind them.
It's actually kind of funny we're talking about this today, because when my wife got home last night, one of the ladies she went and hung out with last night is really into the spiritual stuff and everything too. Hopefully she comes when we have our sound bath thing. But they were sitting there talking, and she got home, and it's just like, I feel like I had this epiphany, and it's the same thing. If the biggest fear we have, and myself, my wife, is, the fear of failure on starting a business of some kind. Knowing that the starting is the hardest part. Building it and then continuing on is very fearful that we'll fail. But we're failing if we don't try too. Mm-hmm. So that's honestly the biggest fear, in my opinion, is the failure of it not doing something, or me not being able to provide a steady income from it for my family. Because like we've talked about a lot, we want to bring our wives home. My wife's already doing the entrepreneur, has a great business going, but it's not something she wants to do for the rest of her life. She'll have girls that she'll keep and, all that. But starting a business so that she can be at home, more focused on the kids, more focused on that is a big thing. And the fear of that not happening has definitely held me back from making some moves on it. Mm-hmm. I cannot lie.
So is it the fear of stability?
Yeah.
Because there's a lack of stability in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Or just in general when it comes to starting a business. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And the fear, I mean, I do fear people not catching on or not wanting to buy the product. What am I special to? But at the same time, if I let that fear run everything, I'm definitely not going to do anything.
Yeah. It's paralysis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that. It's a tough decision. It's something that isn't taken lightly, but it's also something that, like you said, you can't let it control you.
No.
Because the more that the fear of failure is great. It's not great. It's a great great thing that I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Because we have to go through failure. As shitty as we think about it, well, I don't want to have to fail at my business. I don't want to have to fail at, 75 hard. I don't want to have to fail at whatever. Like pick your thing that you're trying to gain momentum on. But it's reframing what that failure means. That's where the fear starts dissipating and starts growing inside of you. You're gonna say something?
Well, I was gonna say the big difference to me is the difference between quitting and failing,
Mm-hmm.
because as we both know, and a lot of the big gurus have talked about, quitting is the problem. The failure is a lesson learned.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take, for instance, 75 hard, I obviously don't want to fail 75 hard, but if I fail, it's going to be something stupid that my mind forgot to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it happened to you, but there's times I go to bed or I wake up the next day and I'm like, I can't remember doing it because it's become so mundane that I'm like, I have to look back and like, okay, I have, 2 separate bookmarks in my book. This is where I started. This is where I finished. Okay, yes, I do remember reading this. Or did I go for my outdoor workout? But so what I'm getting at is I won't quit. If I fail, it'll be because my mind has got so mundane doing it,
Mm-hmm.
because the heart is the repetition to do it over and over and over, that I forget, oh, did I take my progress picture? Yeah, I remember going downstairs and doing it, or go back through my phone and look at it.
Right.
But I'm not just going to be like, well, I don't want to do it today. I quit. I'm done. No, if I fail, it's because I forgot to do something, in which I will learn from that and continue make that decision to learn, rather than just be like, well, I'm done.
Right.
I quit. I'm not doing this anymore. Same with the business side of things, as far as I'm going into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, any failures I have, I got to use them as lessons. I'm not going to quit doing it. Like once I'm in that motion of going, I'm not going to quit doing it. Whether it takes me 10 days, 10 years, like Andy Frisella says, the first 10 years of business, he talks about it a lot. If you haven't listened, guys, go listen to it. But if he had quit, he wouldn't have First Form. He wouldn't have any of the things he has. And if I would have quit, I wouldn't have my marriage. I wouldn't have, the welding job I do. I wouldn't have the things that I do. Same with you.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd have quit, you might have had, yeah, we've all had failures along the way.
Yeah.
But we have to make that decision inside that failure.
Yeah, you got to move forward from it, because the fear of it is, it really will stop you from doing anything. Like, but yeah, like what's the way I like to think about it is like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, obviously, if like you're leveraging your home, or you're doing these, huge financial decisions that potentially that put you in a rough position, that's different. But a lot of the stuff is, if you're dealing with a good, smart business sense, like, yeah, you're not going to leverage your home. You're not going to set yourself up for a complete catastrophe that, if this business doesn't work out, we're, thousands of dollars into debt. The kids are like, we got to sell one of the kids. Like, it's not like that. So that's different. But yeah, I think the fear of having to start something new is always difficult, but they like to say it's like, that's why the dream or your goals have to be bigger than what that fear is. So for me, that's the same, right? It's bringing the wife home, being able that she can be, a stay-at-home mom and build a business here from home. Like, doesn't have to go out and work a 9 to 5 and report to another guy. Like, she can make her own hours. We can make our own hours. So, that fear has to dissipate as you get closer and closer to the decision to make, that leap, because it is a leap. It's a, you're basing your financial stability on what you are setting out to do.
Yeah.
And it's a vision that you might see in your head, but maybe, like you said, that fear of like, well, what if somebody else doesn't see that vision? Well, nobody will ever know you have a vision if you live in that fear. Nobody will ever even know. We won't even give it a chance. And so it's hard. It's a difficult decision, but it's also one of the, it's like this podcast. Like,
yeah, I was literally just about to say, it's like this. It's the fear that we're not going to give enough information or the correct information, but at the same time, it's going to hit somebody. I know it will, because it takes Man, I've heard the same thing from so many people, but somebody might say it just that one word different that makes the difference. You know, Goggins, Ed Milet, Andy Frisella, Jocko, like all of them, you know, depending on how you look at the situation, they all are saying close to the same things when it comes to, you got to be a strong leader. You got to be disciplined. You got to be this, you know, you got to make that one more phone call. But the fear of all that decision, you know, you got to just overcome that fear.
Yeah. Yeah. Because not doing anything is worse.
Yeah.
Wasting your life being
Yeah.
when you're 80 and you're like, you know, dang, I should have at least tried. At least you'd know.
Yeah.
At least you made the decision to do it, and if it was a complete epic failure, well, guess what? I learned from it. I bet you know, my buddies always told me, maybe this isn't for you, but maybe this sparks the flame to do this over here. You never know. But if you never tried option A and did everything you could, and then this happened to come into your life, it would have never been there because you weren't even in the right. It's like energy, right? Like you're putting the energy out. Like you talked about the spiritual stuff. I believe in that. Like
I'm getting deeper into it.
You know, the more that I start getting around a certain association, a certain mindset, a certain, you know, we've talked about this, like different people will come into your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be like, I would have probably never, because it's like you're reading the book, Think and Grow Rich. You said like, I would have read this a couple years ago, but like, what the hell are they talking about? It's the exact same thing. You might be having a conversation with somebody out in the street and they could just see a look in your eye. They could see the way that you are carrying yourself. Oh, this guy kind of like, I mess with his vibe. Like, what's up, bro? Like, let's get to know each other. You would have met him 5 years earlier and be like, who the hell is this guy? Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah, the fear of failure is the way you get over that is just having a big dream. You got to be able to see what you want and have that vision for yourself and say, okay, like I want to do this and this is where I want to go. And I don't care what I got to do or what I got to go through to get to it. Now within limit, right? Legal, moral, ethical, all that type of stuff. That's part of the, you know, have that standard at least for yourself. But outside of that, shit, if somebody told me to go shovel cow shit to get my wife home and we were going to be, you know, millionaires, well, guess what? I'm out there shoveling cow shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know, or you got to walk it, you know, through this field. I don't know what's out there, but if you get to the end, you know, you're good. Okay. Guess what? We're doing it. So it's just finding that thing that's really going to push you to do it. And sometimes it's your partner, sometimes it's your kids, sometimes it's the situation you're in.
Sometimes it's just going to hang out with your friends and you just having an epiphany, a realization, you know. I mean, that happened to the wife last night, and you know, and sometimes and maybe I'm holding back a little bit on making some decisions, which is not good either, but it's also hard to make a decision when your other half is fully involved in everything too. You don't want to make the decision to potentially invest it, especially when it comes to money. At least, you know, the wife and I share an account. Everything is ours per se. So for me to invest any amount of money into something, I have to have her full support. She has to get over that fear of failure also with me in order for us to move forward. Separate bank accounts, whatever. Yeah, you don't got to worry as much. But whereas I'm going to take my family's money that we may need to invest in whatever it might be, we both need to get over that fear of failure together, that's a whole nother battle.
Yeah. And as you being the leader, sometimes you're the one that has to make that decision to say, we're doing it. Because we can instill that assurance. But it's also, it's that fear of like, well, what if it totally bombs? That decision lands on me. It's ownership, accountability. It's, you know, it's decision making all wrapped in one. Because if it goes sideways, right, you're the one that made the decision. You're the one that pushed it gun ho. But we have to be okay with that. We have to, you know, make, like you said, it's not just you, right? If it was just you, if it was just me, I'd be like, well, shit, I'm throwing my money over here. And be like, it's, For me, it's very like it's simple. I've been broke. I've been super broke. I've been to where I have to make $20 stretch for 2 weeks, and that's a legit story.
Rough.
And and I still had the kid, so I know how rough it is, and I know how grimy or how how much I'm willing to just get through to 2 weeks. But when you add a family, when you add a wife that's financially sound, it's a different ballgame, because then, like you said, you're leveraging. Well, what if this does fail? Okay, you drop 20 grand on it, 30 grand. Well, I like to think about it. We're going to spend that money anyways.
Yep.
We're going to take a trip. We're going to go out to eat. We're going to whatever. So,
But if that 20 makes you 100,
or if that 20 just changes your relationship,
yeah,
and makes it grow better, you just never know. So that's a good way to look at it. It's definitely a difficult decision. It's something that never should be taken lightly, but it's definitely something that you combine what we kind of talked about earlier, which is emotional decisions. It's an emotional decision, but it's also a financial decision that you have to say, okay, I'm going to take this leap of faith, but I'm also going to, make it with a emotionless decision, because sometimes, and luckily I've never been one to just jump into things. I mean, I do just do whatever. If I just, I'm always down to do whatever. But when it comes to big expenses or big things that could impact my life, I've always had that good sense of like, okay, let's think this through. Because
but I think there's a fine line between how long you think it through too.
it depends on the decisions.
It does.
If
It
it's
does.
like I said, I come from a background of, I had to call them, we were goons. We were doing things. I'm not going to implicate myself in any crimes, but we were doing some things, and a lot of decisions had to come out of that. Like, this shit can be life altering.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've definitely been there too.
And so the decisions need to be based on like how, and the weird thing was, is a lot of times it wasn't even about me. It was just like, how is my mom going to think about this?
Yep.
How is this going to come back to my mom? Was going to be pissed. A lot of the like things that I were saved, like luckily didn't get into, was I was just like, I don't want to let my mom down. And I'm taking this far back, because I'm a good guy now. Like, not that I wasn't a good guy, but I'm not doing the things I was doing when I was younger. So now it's like, well, if this is what's best for my family, this is what we're going to do. And so, but yeah, if I were to just to be like, oh, this is so great. Like, let's just do it. I'm so happy to do this. That's a emotion-based decision. It's like going to a dealership and just walking in and being like, oh, let's go look at cars, babe. And then you see the dream car of your life, and you're like, oh my gosh. Like, like you have to be almost emotionless. Like, okay, can we afford it? How are the payments going to look?
I was going to say it. You hear it a lot, and it's true. You don't make decisions based off emotion. And that is kind of, especially big decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Big decisions you can't make off of emotion. And most, I guess that's true for most of them, because even like my gym story, like I didn't let my emotion make my decision. I made the rational decision to pay more attention and do more of what she was doing, to make sure that I was completing her workout with her,
Mm-hmm.
versus being pissed off. So yeah, same thing. The emotion, I pulled the emotion out of it. Instead of being mad, I took it away and said, okay, let's get back to doing this.
How many times have you got cut off? How many times has somebody jumped into your freaking lane or done something stupid, and you're like,
Terrible with those decisions.
no, but I'm serious. Like, but you never like done some dumb shit.
No.
You know what I mean?
I've been followed multiple times for stuff, but I have never
got out.
Never willingly followed somebody, or got out to confront somebody. Because at the end of the day, who gives a shit? It's a parking spot. It's I might flip you off if you're being a dumbass or something. But that's,
Right.
that's the extent of it. I've never yes, when I was younger, I tried to like get in front of somebody to, you know, maybe potentially allegedly brake check them, but one, it didn't work, and two, at the end of the day, it wouldn't have made anything better. It would have made the situation worse. You know,
And those are all decisions. Those are
yeah.
all a lot of the times when we do dumb shit, they're emotion. You look back like, damn, I could have done. If you ever say I could have done that differently, your emotions got like
The
the
best
best of
of
you.
you. Oh yeah,
So
100%. There's so many, like you stop and you look, and there's so many points in my life that I'm like, I could have done that different, but it was again, like you said, all emotion based thoughts and feelings. But when I've looked back and I've made some of the more rash, like when I decided to go back to school,
mm-hmm.
I was tired of doing what I was doing. I worked for good people, but I was like, I need something different. I'm not fueling my mind enough. So I looked at different things, and I made the unemotional decision to say, hey, I'm going back to school because I want better for myself. And, when you tell your spouse that, it brings the emotion of, oh, more money, more time, da 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 da. But, once it sinks in, and same thing, once they pull the emotion out, it's a good thing. When my wife said, I want to go to school to do this, I'd made that decision for myself already. So it was an easy decision for me to say, there's no emotion behind this. Absolutely. Do it. At least that's how I recall it. I could be wrong. I'm sure she'd tell me. But, pulling that emotion away has made a lot of decisions a lot better.
Yeah, it's
Less harsh, too.
it really does. The more it's the EQ versus IQ. I don't know if you've heard that, but like emotional intelligence versus what we would consider IQ. Back in the days, or even nowadays, but it's being able to control those emotions. The more you're able to control those emotions, especially when you're making decisions, the better. Not always the better decisions, but the clear decisions where you can look back like, okay, I know what I did. I know why I did it. It makes fundamental sense, and it didn't work out, or it did, or didn't, whatever. So removing those emotions, definitely, I agree. They'll hijack your whole decision making if you let them, if you let the anger, the fear, or frustration, whatever emotion you feel at the time, if you let it just take over, yeah, it'll take over you. It's not really, it's you, but it's like your emotions that are speaking for you. If your wife does something to make you angry and you react a certain way, that's your emotion. Doesn't necessarily mean you don't love her. People say, luckily I don't do that. I don't say, if there's one thing I've learned in my life is too short. I think words are very hurtful.
They can
and
very negatively impact a lot of life.
I know how fast life can change from one second to the other. So I don't use, hateful speeches around my wife. I don't spew like hate shit, even if I'm mad at her. Like, I'll take a moment, walk away, and then we'll reconvene and kind of fix the situation. But I say that to say this is that, a lot of times some people will do that. They're like, oh, I fucking hate you. You're, blah, 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 blah. I've heard it. I'm guilty of it. I've done it before in past relationships. But I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live a life of regret, or a life of decision that I made a decision based on emotion. And then I was never able to, if something were to happen, I was never able to fix the situation, or tell the person like, I really don't feel that way. It's just upset in the moment. So the decisions will hijack you, who you are in that moment. You just need to take a step back.
So I'm going to put a little bit of extra onto that, because there has been a lot of times I've made an emotional decision that it might not have been words, but it was more actions, and one of the things that you need to do in order to fix that is you need to take accountability for your part of it, or take accountability for your actions. We're going to relink this ball back, guys. It all comes back to the same thing.
It's all intertwined.
But the same thing with you, like coming to them and saying, hey, I didn't mean that. You're taking the accountability for it. And if you're not taking the accountability for your decision, then it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And that emotional decision may make you realize you need to make a second decision without emotions, which, might be therapy, anger management, might be whatever the situation might be. It varies, but you need to take the accountability, and you need to make that unemotional decision to, if you want to change it.
Yeah.
That's not an easy decision, coming from somebody that had to make the decision to go to therapy, or somebody that's making the decision to say, I should probably go to anger management or figure out my anger issues so that we don't have problems. Because I can be a happy person, but if I'm angry about some dumb shit, nothing's going to happen. And whether I'm consciously or unconsciously making the decision to be that person, I need to make the decision wholeheartedly to say, I am changing this. And this is what I am doing to do those steps.
I like that. I love it.
You can't sit around. You can't wait. Once you realize it, you need to own it instantly. You can't wait. You can't waver. You can't, I'll see what happens in a week, a month, a day, or whatever. No, you need, most of the decisions, especially as of late, that I've made that have been more emotional, I have either changed it quickly or owned up to it. The one in the gym, I don't need to say anything. I just need to change the action. I just need to do it. But any bigger ones, I might need to come up and say, hey, that was my bad. This is what I'm doing, and stick to the word.
Yeah. It's always your bad.
Commitment.
Let's just
Yeah.
like
It usually is.
diffuse everything like that. Like if it really, don't like fake it, right? If somebody's in the wrong, right? But for the most part, if it's not that big a deal, like especially I know for me, like a lot of shit's not that big of a deal. Like we're arguing, I'm like, in 5 minutes I'll clear it out of my head. I'm good. So if it's like that, I'm like, it's on me. Whatever. Like I'll take I made the decision. All right, we've fucked up. Whatever. Let's move on. Be mad at me for 5 minutes, and we like. I'm cool taking all that. So yeah, man. I think it starts with that awareness piece. Being able to be aware.
You have to be self-aware of what your actions can cause people, or what your decisions are doing to other people.
Yeah, because they do affect everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of times we like to say, well, let's just use this scenario, your business, right? If you're starting a business, well, this is for me. Let's just say you wanted to do a welding business. Well, I'm the one that's going to work the welding business. I'm the one we have the money. Well, goofball, like you're married. She's your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Your kids' lives are at stake as well if you lose everything.
Yep.
So being aware that it's not just you anymore. Like it's the same thing my buddy told me, like stop putting boy things away, like start putting boy things to the side and be a man.
Yeah.
Because every decision falls in, like it lands on you and your family.
It just gave me so many ideas. Just to throw that out there, sorry.
With as far as
just things that we're trying to do,
okay,
business wise. So it just gave me so many ideas to start thinking about.
Good.
So
I think it's just becoming aware of what decisions you're making and how they affect everybody else, because that ultimately they do.
They do.
I don't care what people say. Oh, this is just gonna affect me. If I am having a rough day and it's like, oh well, I'm destroying my own body. I'm drinking. It's not affecting. Well, guess what it is. If you have a child, she's watching that. She's watching her father deteriorate and give up on life. Your wife is watching you give up on life. You're ruining her life. I don't care what decision you make. It is not just going to affect you. And
no.
Especially if you're a leader in any aspect. If you have friends, if your friend's looking at you and it's like, dude, like you're destroying yourself, bro. Like you're killing me inside. And so you have to be able to have that awareness. And that's not just for decision making. That's for anything that you're trying to grow in. The more you can be aware of what you're doing and how you're doing it, your life will be better. If your marriage sucks,
make the decision to either do something about it, because You know, everything. And, you know, when we have a more in-depth podcast on like my depression and stuff, we can go deeper into this, but the suicidal ideations and stuff, you start really thinking about everything, and you start thinking about the people. You look, and it's not only it is a selfish and selfless act, in my opinion, and we can talk more about that later, but that decision does not just affect you. It's going to affect all your friends, your family, your spouse, everybody. Right. So that is just something that, you know, it's a big decision, and that's
Right.
probably my watch is talking to.
You're good.
But the self-awareness to actually sit back and think and
They're
look.
listening to us.
I know. It's telling me about my dunes trip that I'm not going on anymore. Forgot that I didn't cancel that.
You're good.
But, you know, it's a decision you have to really, you got to take the emotion out, because once I did, I can see everything involved.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good, man.
This was a good one.
This was a good one, dude. And yeah, it's just, I think it starts with awareness.
It does.
And then it flows into some of the episodes, accountability.
Yeah.
Have that discipline to make that, you know, the decisions you need to make, and then also start harnessing those emotions inside yourself so that you
be
can
committed to your decision to, well, that one can get a little bit hairy if you're talking the suicidal, but you know, when you're committing to the bigger goals in life.
Yeah. If you're
committing to those decisions.
If your larger goal is to be there for your family and show up for them.
But take the emotion out of your decisions.
Right. Right.
That'll help out a lot.
What you got from man this week? What's the challenge?
That would be it right there, guys. You know, look at your life. Look at what you're doing. If you're potentially going to buy a new car, house, you know, bathtub. I mean, whatever. Take some of the emotion out of it, especially the bigger purchases. Take the emotion out of it, and really outweigh the pros and the cons of it before you just make that decision based on emotions.
Love it. For me, it's I want to include spouses on this one. I think for the most part, a lot of our listeners should have a significant other. So what I would do is I would challenge you to have a conversation with your wife or your husband and say, hey, how are you in the decision field the day? Let's just choose a weekend. Let's just choose a Saturday or whatever day you want to choose. Go up to your husband or your spouse or your wife and say, hey, how are you in the decision field? Because I want to make a decision today, especially if you're not naturally the decision maker. If you have an issue with making decisions, say, hey, I want to make this decision and commit to it. So find whatever you want to make a decision. It can be as small as going out to eat. It can be as big as, I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. I don't know how your personal relationships work, but commit to something in the decision making and just follow through with it. So another great one, man.
Guys, like, subscribe, follow. Any questions, comments, let us know, guys.
We
Thank
love
you
y'all
very much.
Yep. Have a phenomenal day. See you later.